What is going on, Lucid fans? Welcome back to Financial Journey. So today is a little bit more of an interesting day. I do want to talk on some things that's causing downward pressure on Lucid and what that ultimately means for us as investors. Give you some updated data points very relevant again to a lot of investors and tie it all together with some technical analysis at the end. But before I get into any of that, you guys know the deal. Smash the thumbs up. Definitely helps my channel significantly. If you are new to the channel, I do daily videos on trending stocks, crypto. I do it all. So make sure you do subscribe. Also pop over to my Discord, link in the description below. It's a free chat, a lot of good people, and a lot of good Lucid chat as well. So with all that said, let's get right to it. So looking on the intraday chart, unfortunately very much red. And looking here, we did find some strong support at the 2250 range. So that is very optimistic at the end of the day. And I just want to show you the live ticker to my left, currently down 7%, 12.4 million shares being traded as of right now within the first hour and a half of the trading day. So today does seem like it's going to be in line with the average, which the average is 54, 729,000 shares being purchased by institutions and hedge funds again within the first hour and a half. And you can tell that based on the block volume column. So with all of that though, there is some things that's causing a little bit more downward pressure, all of which is attributed to the Fed. So the Fed is causing all this disruption within the economy right now. So looking right here, the 10-year yield is up again. So that's one thing. There is also expectation. So inflation is starting to come back up. Powell did speak, so I'm going to touch on what that was actually said by that. In addition to that, as far as economic data coming out, it was relatively good. And unfortunately, we're stuck between a hard rock and kind of another hard rock in this case, because essentially any good data in the economy right now just further aids the Fed's increasing rates. So again, it's just going back to the Feds causing all this disruption. And Powell did say though, despite the Russia tensions and everything that's happening in that regard, he still isn't intending on keeping the monetary policy the exact same and raising the rates at the same fashion that they were intending to, which ultimately means that there might be actually a half of a point increase in March 16th. So that's upcoming in the next couple of weeks. So again, that's causing a lot of disruption within the economy right now because there was a large anticipation that they were only going to do roughly about 0.25%. So that's something to keep in mind. And similarly, Canada just came out recently as well, and they did raise rates, but only 0.25%. So again, this is a little bit more of a surprise that they technically might increase it 0.5%. And so that is why Lucid is getting hit so much more, because it has that growth component to it, and a lot of growth stocks are pretty much inverse to interest rates. So when interest rates are going up, typically a lot of growth stocks are magnified as far as a downward pressure. So that's some things to keep in mind. And so now just more specifically, again, what's causing downward pressure on Lucid and why it's going down so much more than the broader market, because you can see the broader indexes right here are very much red, but NASDAQ is only down 1%. And as you can see again, now Lucid is down 7.3%. So there is a little bit more of a magnification happening with Lucid, and that's largely because ultimately our production was not to par to what investors were wanting. And I know Peter did reiterate many times saying that he wants quality over quantity, but given the market circumstances, and especially with rates increasing as much as Powell is anticipating, that is not a good environment for just quality and kind of taking your time. You want production. We need production given this circumstance. So this is also factoring into Lucid right now, why a lot of people aren't really favoring it right now. In addition to that, right now, there is no known catalyst. So that's also one thing that people don't really like when it comes down to Lucid. Nobody likes silence. So that's something as well to keep in mind. And yes, there's things that are floating around, such as Saudi Arabia, and hopefully a little bit more news when it comes down to Europe and other expansions. But at the end of the day, there is no known catalyst. So again, that's kind of factoring in. With all of that, just want to transition and talk on some updated data points. So looking at short interest as of right now, 1765 down roughly about 7% from 1 week prior. Utilization is 100%. Cost to borrow average, it is kind of maintaining, so 21.97. So again, that's kind of keeping in line with what it's been over the last couple of days. Day by day changes pretty stagnant, again up 0.2%, which works out to be 448,000 shares. And one thing I do really like is that shorts aren't really doubling down today. So it does show that ultimately they don't see it as a worthwhile to short it at this level. So I do really like that, especially considering more so on a technical stance. We are at a very pivotal point, and typically when we have gone to this range, we have bounced off of that. So that's something as well to keep in mind. I'm going to go over some technical analysis at the end, but just want to go over options activity activity as well, because options activity has been all over the place when it comes down to Lucid. So right now, $16.6 million worth of options being done today alone, 73% of them positive. So this is why I really do like to look at options activity. Shows more of an underlying sentiment of what a lot of individuals are saying. So today was 73%, yesterday was 60%, and overall all last week was 37%. So technically how it shows and how I read that, it does show that there's a huge anticipation that we are very close to the bottom. So I do really like that. In addition to shorts not doubling down, that is very bullish. So I do like all of that. And keep in mind, all this information is available via Ortex. Link is in the description below if you want to take a look at that. I just want to transition and talk on some updated 13F, some new institutions and hedge funds getting into Lucid. So right now there wasn't too many as of today. The latest was March the 1st. You can see right there a lot of ETF season. So technically a lot of ETFs have been for the most part maintaining. Some have closed out some of their position, but still a lot of ETFs are moving some funds around. So that's one thing to keep in mind when it comes down to Lucid. And there's still some institutions that are full out shorting Lucids. But overall, given all the circumstances, I'm not worried at all when it comes down to Lucid. And with that, just want to transition and talk on some technical analysis. So given the circumstances of where we are, I do think that we are at a very pivotal point. I've been saying this for the last little bit as well. So looking on the actual chart of the 50, 100, 200-day moving averages, Bollinger Bands, RSI, stochastic, and momentum. So looking at momentum, you can see it has been down over the last little bit. So showing number of buyers are leaving Lucid. Obviously, they got scared out from their earnings. And looking right now on the stochastic, there is a big deviation. So red line above the black, so showing technically a little bit more of a bear sentiment. RSI is currently at 36, so it's not below the 30, so not a good buying opportunity in that regard. And looking on the actual chart, we are at the lower percentile of the Bollinger Band and hugging the bottom, so that's something to keep in mind as well, which typically does show a little bit more of a bear sentiment. But we do have a lot of volatility going on, but again, it comes down to the fact we are getting to a very pivotal point. I've been saying this for the last little bit. $21 is a very pivotal point. If we break past that, do anticipate it's going to go down to 18 to 15, around that range-ish, but I don't anticipate that happening. But again, that's something for us to keep in mind. And like I said in this channel, I don't want to just sugarcoat things. I want to give you the good, the bad, the ugly, and technically if we do break past that 21, that is a very pivotal point. Just want to keep that in mind, especially with the fact that if we don't have any catalyst, nothing to grasp onto, and we are struggling with production, and a lot of people are hanging on to Bear's Workshop kind of flyovers and kind of seeing how things are in that regard, and especially considering if we are not seeing 40 vehicles produced and delivered every single day, then we're not even going to be in line with the 12 to 14,000 for the 2022 targets. So that again is what a lot of investors are starting to watch for. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. This is a very long-term investment, but I know a lot of you in the short term don't really like to see your investment go down 30, 40, 50%, whatever it might be. So that is some things that's factoring into a lot of people, and especially considering whenever a stock can't hold any gains, it typically does hurt the overall sentiment when it comes down to the stock. Personally, again, I did buy in today, and I know I said that yesterday, but I did buy in a little bit more because I wanted a little bit more of a lower average. So I bought in at $22.70, so pretty much in line exactly where it is. I do anticipate us having a nice little reversal, us bouncing off of that S2 point, that pivotal $21 mark, but at the end of the day, it could go either way. So again, like I said, I give you the good, the bad, the ugly. Given all the circumstances though, I'm very optimistic, and you can tell that as well based on the options activity and the short info, that there is still a lot of people that are backing up the bus when it comes down to Lucid and that are anticipating it to go up. With all that said, let me know your thoughts on Lucid in the comments below. If you haven't already, smash a thumbs up, subscribe, do all that fun stuff. Greatly appreciate that. If you do like my channel and support the growth, take a look at my memberships, link in the description below, or just hit the join button at the bottom of the screen. With that, I appreciate you guys watching, and let's all make a lot of money on Lucid.